Good. Well, I guess it's morning for me. Still, 11 a.m. in the morning. 10 a.m. a few hours away in Australia. And 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And 5 p.m. on the West Coast. My home coast of the US, obviously. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about mods. Hello, everybody. We'll be talking about mods today. We're over with this GAC, and I'm sure people are starting to plan. By the way, we should have some news from CG in probably tomorrow, I guess, about what format changes are going into effect. Anyway, so people are starting to plan, like me and many others, about what they're going to do for the next 3v3 season with the new format. And with a lot more teams that people will have to use in most divisions, what are they going to do with their mods to give themselves an advantage? Hey, Free and Adam, going pretty well here. As you can see, it's nice and sunny outside. The lighting's a bit weird while we're still in the hotel room here. Hey, Infinim. So I've prepared a little list. We've been having some discussions with in Grand Arena Science and the voice chat on Discord we had last week. We talked about this for a couple of hours. I have a list of characters I'm going to go over, that I have planned to go over, that at least I know I'm modding my guys this way. If anybody else has any questions or input, please let me know. Anything that I'm missing too. So we're mostly going to talk about characters. I have some teams down here at the end that we might go over, but we'll see how much time we have and how much blah 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 I do in the previous characters. And I'm not going to be talking about the more popular ones that I think most people know already. Like, I'm not going to talk about any of the Galactic Legends. I mean, there's weird things you can do with mods there, but I think they're a lot more well known. And most of the players making those mod changes are pretty knowledgeable already. And I'm not going to talk about Darth Vader or General Skywalker, because there's videos and videos upon different ways to do these characters. Most of the videos listed in the resources section of Grand Arena Science. So I'm going to skip to characters that maybe people don't pay as much attention to. So let's start. JTR, and I'm including BB-8 in here because this is primarily when JTR is the leader of a team. Ooh, 3 mods to 6E. Well, think about it as I blah 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 here, Adam, and let me know at the end of the video, or video, it's not a video, end of the live session, what your preferences are. In general, go with a 5A speed mod or a 6E. No, go with a 5A mod that has potential to go to speed, unless you're missing like a crit avoidance arrow or something like that. Okay, yeah, GG. I'll add GG right after Yoda. That is a good question, and that's a useful one. Now don't listen to Free. One of these days I'm going to relic my Bodybrook. One of these days. Anyway, JTR. So, as I was saying, JTR, this is meant for when JTR is the lead. Totally different if she's under Rey, GL Rey, or something like that. Hey, Tilo. How's it going, man? So, the reason why I say JTR and BB-8 for crit chance, I mean, there's some... Obviously, you want speed on BB-8. But with your speed mods, or even if you mod him for health or something like that, like some people do, it's better to go with crit chance because of the way Rey's leadership works. Allies get 30% critical chance, so it's not hard to get him to 100%. It's also not hard to get him to 100% or 130%-ish against tanks who have crit avoidance. because when an enemy is exposed, anybody who crits an enemy has a 70% chance to inflict expose, and it can't be resisted. So anytime an enemy is exposed, all of the allies get 10% turn meter. And then once they're exposed, they lose 5% turn meter that cannot be resisted. I think everybody's familiar with the JTR leadership. But it's easy to like forget to mod BB-8, especially since he counterattacks, assuming you have the Zeta on him. He counterattacks, and JTR calls him for assist most of the time. So you have a great advantage here to gain more turn meter for your team and to remove turn meter from your enemies. So it's an easy little check your mods, put on secondaries, or give a... Honestly, I think myself, I have a crit chance triangle on BB-8 just because it's hard to find people who need crit chance triangles. So you can toss it on him. Doesn't need to be part of a set. You can have a 4-piece speed set and then put a crit chance triangle. So under JTR lead, use TM, expose, and TM. That's an easy little check. The same for JTR, by the way. I like my JTR tanky, but I still make sure she has crit chance. JTR tanky is a strange choice, I understand, but I like JTR hard to kill. So make sure both of them have crit chance. That's an easy check. So I think most people are familiar with Bossk and Greef. The faster the better, and you want Bossk to be 1 speed faster than Greef. And this works in basically any setup. It works under the Django lead, it works under Bossk lead, it works under Aura lead. You want Bossk to use his taunt and offense up, and then Greef to do his mass assist, and this will give everybody TM under, well, against, as long as Mando is critting, and he should have crit chance too, but it's very easy to get him at Relic to 100% crit chance. You want to make sure that they are able to take 2 turns right in a row, because Bossk gets Frenzy when he does his taunt, and then when Greef uses his special, Bossk's Frenzy will give him turn meter again to use his mass assist. So we're using Bossk taunt, Frenzy, then Greef mass assist, Bossk mass assist. So this is like a very, very common bounty hunter turn order setup. The nice thing is it doesn't matter what bounty hunter team you're using them in, you'll always want the 2 of them to have this specific turn order. So KRU, I saw somebody in the Grand Arena Science server talking about crit chance under KRU versus defense and tenacity. And I think actually at lower levels, lower GP ranges, when you're not fighting all relic characters, especially when you're not fighting all relic characters, like when your boss, when your KRU has is like one of the only 2 relics, maybe you have KRU and Executioner or something with relics. Having him with crit chance, or his team with crit chance, can make some sense because they gain turn meter. Oops. They gain turn meter on critting. However, they also gain health and protection. Where was it? Yeah, they gain 5% health and protection as KRU's leadership when they take any status effect. Could be a buff or a debuff. And Kylo Ren gives out advantage whenever he gets hit. He gets out advantage to one of his to a random ally that doesn't have it for 2 turns. His scarred unique. So it's actually better for KRU especially to load up on defense mods with health primaries or defense primaries, whichever you have, because he's extremely high armor percentage. So you could be able to tank very well in multiple teams too. It doesn't have to be when he's a leadership. So loading him up on defense and health primaries is great when you're at relic levels, because you'll be able to survive a lot longer against other relic characters, against GLs even. Obviously not Rey's whirlwind thing. But at lower GP ranges, when he's one of the only 2 or 3 characters on the team, it's better that that his team actually has some critical chance because of the TM generation. So lower GPs when Karyu cry. Karyu is one of the few relic characters do crit chance on his team. Otherwise, load him and the team. Tenacity. There's even, I don't think I mentioned it, yeah, Sith Trooper I had in here, so I'll talk about it there, but it's good to have them with tenacity rather than damage in mini setups. And again, lower GP ranges, anyway, we'll talk about it when we get to them. So, KRU, defense and tenacity mods are the best, but at lower GP ranges, when KRU is one of the only relic characters, it helps to give his team a crit chance because of the turn meter reasons. Han Solo, speed. Han Solo is no longer a damage character. Again, maybe at lower GPs he's still damage character, but once you have C-3PO and you put him in the CLS team, I would put a tenacity cross on him, and that's basically it. You're not trying to stop a specific counter. I mean, I guess you were sort of trying to stop a JTR counter, but JTR has higher potency than KRU has tenacity. So either you load up on tenacity and lose some of his survivability, or you just put a tenacity cross and you expect that the JTR is going offense or something. So it's a coin flip. It's very hard to mod KRU for tenacity in a way that makes more sense than giving him defense and health. Han Solo speed. So anyway, Han Solo, he does a lot of damage for sure. But once you're either putting him in mirror matches or putting him on defense and expecting him to be mirrored, you want your Han Solo to shoot first. And I don't know if people are aware, but Han Solo, his shoot first move, some time ago, months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago even, they changed it to whoever's Han Solo is fastest shoots first. Whenever they made the TM turn meter overflow changes, about a year ago, I think, Han Solo, the fastest one, shoots first. So you want yours to be fastest. And in general, in the CLS comps with C-3PO, especially with 3PO or 2PO or whatever, you're going to be winning based on turn meter more than damage. So the faster he is, the more he gets to go, the more turn meter you generate. Yeah, full health is certainly viable as well. I mean, I guess the point is, maybe I should have phrased this differently. Speed and tankability. I don't know if that's a word, but it's a good one. In mirrors, and when you have C-3PO and or 2PO, you are winning based on TM DPS. Survivability. That is a much better word that is actually a word. Survivability. There we go. Thank you. So anyway, you want to make him sure, you want to give yourself the best chance that your Han Solo is going to shoot first, so he cannot be easily mirrored. And besides that, make him survivable. Is a tenacity set a waste on KRU? It depends on the secondaries. Like if it's a tenacity set with some nice defense, a defense percentage secondary, not really a waste. But in general, I would always put a defense, all defense sets on him. No, okay, full health on mirrors. For KRU? I'm confused also. But survivability on Han Solo is absolutely true as well. Speed and then making him survivable. I don't think, I mean, I have a crit damage and health. on my Han Solo with a lot of speed. He's like 280 or something like that. 290? 280, 290, somewhere in that range. But it's faster than most Han Solos that I see. And so if people mirror him, they're going to have crap banners, and usually they don't mirror him. So, old Daka. What are we going to do with old Daka? I think everybody knows this. Put health mods on her with crit avoidance. I've actually seen some people talk about putting tenacity mods. Oh, thank you, free. 282. I've actually seen some people talk about putting tenacity mods on old Daka to counter troopers. But in my opinion, I don't like that as much as health. It's a sort of a smart choice. Because usually people will go for one of the first dazes from Piet. And at that time, he doesn't have a lot of stacks of Emperor's Trap, so he doesn't have a ton of potency. So if you can have Daka avoid the daze, you could give your Nightsisters a better chance of taking some banners. But it seems because Daka gains TM when an ally dies. But to me, that seems like a bit of a going for some very edge cases. Not a bad choice, but I think the easiest way is just crit avoid and health, because you can use her in more situations and don't have to remod her for different setups. Like in 3v3, she's definitely better to have crit avoid and health. Like if you run her with AV, Zombie, and Daka, or you have Mother Talzin and Daka or something like that. I think it does, Adam. It's definitely not hard and fast though. Primarily the reason I do crit avoid and health is so I don't have to change mods a lot. But usually, like for instance, if you do set your Nightsisters on defense, I think you'll start seeing that now in the new format a lot more often. If you set your Nightsisters on defense, it definitely helps. You're not going to stop troopers, but besides troopers, it helps if Jedi are going against her, because she can be pretty difficult to crit for the JKR teams. And she can survive quite a bit longer. She can last essentially 2 mass assists. Well, it depends on how much stacking she's had at the same time. But I think it's worth it. You're not gaining a ton out of just more health with Daka. I mean, you want to stack her health, but having another 5,000 health is generally not going to be as good, or 10,000 health or something. Yeah, I know. I'm in the same boat, Adam. Don't want to change mods either. But I would say generally, if you can have her avoid getting crit, you're going to save more health long term than just giving her 5,000-10,000 more health, especially when you have her at higher relic levels. Survivable. There's also an argument to be made for some tenacity, but I would say it's better to do tenacity sets on Daka at lower GP ranges, when people are going to go up against you without relic characters, or you're expecting them to go up against you without relic characters. So, Grandmaster Yoda, speed or offense? Personally, I run my Grandmaster Yoda as an offensive character, but it's totally viable and very roster dependent on how you use your Grandmaster Yoda. If you use him, for instance, in a JML team to counter SLK, basically as a foresight generator, interesting question, Tilo. Defense or health on Daka? I think because of her stacking health. Not I think. Mathematically, the longer the fight goes on, the better health is. In the first few minutes, defense is always going to be better. Like if Daka didn't stack her health with her Zeta, if she didn't stack her health with her Zeta, defense is going to be better. But the longer the fight goes on, the better health is. So it really depends on what counter you're expecting to use her with or in, or how you're expecting her to be killed when you have her on defense. So Yoda, speed or offense? If you use him to be fast and get tenacity up and foresight, I would keep him fast. Otherwise, go offense, because especially if you use him like at mid-range GP levels, if you're using him under KR or JKR to kill like KRU, having him fast is going to be terrible because he won't actually do enough damage to KRU to kill him, because he inflicts a debuff on his basic. And on his special big hit, he inflicts a debuff too. So you're actually healing KRU a bit. So very counter dependent. Dependent, yeah. There's no hard or fast answer here. So I think offense is the better overall choice, but because GMY is very easy to get super fast, there's definitely some uses where he's very fast to go first. For a while, he was actually even used to counter DR teams, because if he goes before Fallen Bastilla, if you have a pre-taunter in place, and JKR cannot be feared, so if he goes for Fallen Bastilla, Fallen Bastilla will not be able to inflict her debuffs. So that's very helpful. Okay, now it was Infinitum, right? Yeah, potency or health. It's a great question, actually. So in general, the traditional knowledge for GG has been health sets everywhere with a critical damage triangle that gives you the maximal damage, making sure you had enough crit chance secondaries to get high crit chance. This is also what was used, I think, even back in the GG nuke days with IG-88. But now a lot of people use GG to counter CLS, and in that case, I think there's no question having a potency cross is better, because you're not actually using GG for damage. You just want to make sure that target lock lands, so they can't counter. The CLS team cannot counter. If you use GG to counter CLS, no question. Potency cross, even 1-2 piece. It really is a question. Just a minute, let me finish typing. I can't type and talk at the same time. Generally, overall, useful. It's sort of like an arms race, the CLS and GG modding, and it really depends on who you're fighting against, who you're playing, how good they are, how prepared they are. But assuming you plan on using GG to counter CLS, and assuming you're going to be doing it against a player that is good and is modding their CLS team to stop the GG counters, which I would say that if you're playing a really good player, no, make your CLS team open to the GG counters. Like, don't mod everybody for tenacity, because then they're going to find another counter that works for more banners. Unless you're at a GP range when they don't really have another counter, and so you want to force them into that and make them try and fail. So it really depends on what level you're at in GP and roster availability. But generally, a lot of people now are modding their CLS team, mainly Chewpio and Chewbacca, for tenacity. Chewbacca was even a popular tenacity choice, and he was used to counter gas quite a bit. So they may still have him as tenacity. But making Chewpio heavy on tenacity is great, in 3s especially, because it shuts down the JTR counter, where it really makes the JTR counter a lot more risky, unless you mod your JTR for potency, but it's not as common these days. Anyway, so if you're using CLS or GG against CLS, definitely mod for a potency cross, and a potency 2 set I think is worthwhile to throw in there, because that's really all you care. You're not worried about him dying. Well, if you use him against the CLS team that is modded for damaged, it's possible that he could die in the opening salvo from Han if Han targets him. And the team isn't modded for tenacity, so it's like you're making a choice one way or another. But think about that choice when you're modding him. Enfys Nest. I think a lot of people are experienced with Enfys. Either speed potency or tenacity. Speed potency, she works great in a bounty hunter's team, on defense especially. Works great under Beskar Mando. Let's see, I have a lot of characters here. Jiminy Christmas. I'm really going to try and go not too far over, though. After this one, I'm going to zip through them. Speed, potency, or tenacity. I would say the more overall effective one at high GP range is speed potency, because you're not going to be able to solo very much. At lower GP range, go for tenacity, because there's not many teams that can kill her. However, this is changing now with the format changes, and I do think that Nest will be able to kill a bunch of like crap teams on offense, even on 5v5, because there'll be crap teams on defense. So it depends on your roster and your GP range. Roster GP range. With format changes, I think tenacity is overall more valuable. Yeah, that may be a better choice, Free. I'll have to think about that. Maybe change it to an hour or something. I'll have to change the time, though, because now I'm getting hungry. It's almost lunchtime. I will say one caveat to this Nest thing. I don't mod my Nest either way. I personally mod my Nest. yeah, Infinitum, exactly. Yeah, I'll have to change for an hour next time. I'll make that a note to myself. That's a good point. Anyway, format changes. I mod my Nest to fit into the Beskar Mando teams, speed turn order wise. I have her tenacity built with an offense arrow, all tenacity sets with decent tenacity secondaries, but she's relatively fast for all of that. And I have her set in the turn order, so she worked with the Beskar Mando team. Because I don't like to change mods. I like to make my characters usable as many places as possible. But I also have a lot of mods. So in general, make her slow and tenacious. With the format changes, it's going to be even more valuable. Resistance hero Finn and Poe. Either make Finn really fast so he goes first and trades TM with Poe, and then Poe does buff immunity on somebody. Or, and this is very mod specific, I think it's better to make Finn and Poe 1 speed apart, as close as possible to 1 speed apart, and give up a little bit on the speed. So it's going to be like the DR Malik situation, where Finn will go first, trade TM with Poe. Poe will do buff immunity and dispel buffs because he's inspired, because Finn will always trade with him first. And then Finn will do his AoE everyone attack move and kill whatever, not always, but give a good chance to kill whoever he targets. So, easiest, make Finn fast as possible so he moves first. Better, make Finn and Poe 1 speed apart so they chain their 3 moves. So that's what I would do with Finn and Poe. They're not 1 speed apart, but they're like 3 speed apart or something like that, just because of my mods. And I think that is more valuable, especially if you put them with JTR, like JTR, Finn and Poe, Holdo BB-8, or the Vets, or something like that. I mean, CLS will demolish them regardless, but if people don't use CLS, you're almost always going to steal a good chunk of banners with that setup. Sith Trooper and Hux. This is something that is mostly in the GL counters. It also works at lower gear levels because the more, well, Sith Trooper at lower GP ranges, lower roster ranges, people use him to deal damage. It's awesome. The higher up you get, if you're using him under KRU, and KRU is actually a pretty good team. I think you'll see it a lot more in the expanded format. With Sith Trooper and Hux, as you use your SLK to solo on offense. If you make him more tanky, you will slow down or stop more counters. And specifically in the GL counters, if people are using JKR, JKL against SLK, Old Ben is less likely to land his ability block, and Sith Trooper is more likely to resist ability block also, to be able to do his AoEs, and they're essentially used to build SLK's ult instead of doing damage. So you'll see that a lot in the upper GP ranges. I personally have them modded for turn order and damage, but it's very common to see them tenacity built. It does make some other counters easier, like if you're not using a SLK or the JKR, JKL counter, then this is not as valuable. But it's double use, because if you do use them in the under KRU and keep your SLK on offense, it's a good setup. Counters to SLK more. Also having more durable under KRU lead. Okay. B2 tenacity. Tenacity makes B2 a better character in all situations. Some people who love potency on B2 are going to disagree with me. I think it's a waste of mods. Make your B2 super slow. He's going to get 100% TM when he's triggered anyway. Super slow. Stack protection primaries. Even on the arrow can be protection or crit avoidance. Up to your arrow. I think I have crit point on mine, but I'm not sure. It might be protection. And essentially this will allow him to resist the stuns from the Nightsisters and make your GG Newt setup more durable against Nightsisters. Resist stuns from the Beskar Mando teams who are trying to stun him if they're using like Bo-Katan or Nest or Cara Dune or something like that. Like, just stack tenacity on him. 3 tenacity sets, protection primaries, tenacity cross. It's the way to go. L3. She gains TM anytime a scoundrel ally is hit, so she doesn't need a lot of speed. Yeah, I think with B2 there's not really a must do one or the other. Whichever is better. I think whatever arrow I have on him, I put it on him. So I'm thinking it might be crit avoidance, because it's like 10% protection secondary. So I don't remember the mod, but it was more because it had great secondaries rather than the primary. So with L3, make her slow and stack protection. She builds up protection the more she gets hit. And when she is slow, you don't really, well, it's a way to save mods, because she gains TM when scoundrels get hit, and she builds protection. She gets hit. Also, it makes her more durable. No need for tenacity on her, because she spells debuffs on hit. L3 is a crazy, crazy good character. Amazingly good. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Crit avoid is the way to go for B2. But protection isn't bad. Jolee, tenacity. I think everybody at this stage knows how Jolee works with his crit avoid. But I'll do a quick refresher, because this is a very important at lower gear levels. So, Jolee has 100% tenacity from whatever you add on him. So let's say he is like Relic 3, right? Relic 2, that's a nice easy spot. So his tenacity with no mods at Relic 2 is 40%, right? So he's going to get 100% to that. Let's say you put a tenacity cross and a couple of tenacity arrows on him. So he's going to have another, they're not even 60. So let's say he's going to have another 40% tenacity easily. So with mods, another 40% will be 80 plus his 100% tenacity. That's 180% tenacity. He gets half of that in crit avoidance. So 180%, half of that is 90. So his crit avoidance is 3. So he'll have 93% crit avoidance. The place where this makes the most sense is against JKR mirrors, or against when you're using him against GG, which is very common at lower roster sizes. At 93% crit avoidance, GG can't crit him. I mean, I have a little sheet somewhere with all of the math. But essentially, if you aim for 180% tenacity, you will make sure he survives against the GG teams. And he cannot have his TM reduced either, which is very, very key against the GG teams, because that's how they get a lot of turns. This way, with Jolee like this, you can make sure your JKR team will always survive. Not always, but like the vast majority of the times. Let him live when used against GG teams or against JKR mirrors. JKR mirrors are really at lower gear levels, like 3-4 million range, I guess. 2 million range even. You oftentimes have full relic JKR teams. It's a popular arena team at that range. So aim for 180 buff tenacity. Yes, you want to give him health too. That's awesome. But give him tenacity and you'll give him a huge crit avoidance and he will live against GG. Makes him a tank. Nightsister Spirit, health. Guys, I'm going to go for 8 more minutes. Shit. Okay, yeah, I've got to go for an hour next time. I like talking too much, and you guys are asking too many questions. No, keep up the questions. This is awesome. Spirit. If you look at the damage that GMY puts out, and JKR, but mostly GMY, and offense modded GMY at like relic 4 to 6, his basic will do like 60-70k damage. If you can make sure Spirit has more than this in health and protection, specifically in health, even when she's resurrected by Daka. Yeah, I'll save the teams. It's a good. Even 1 million they have relic JKRs. Wow. I'll save the team. That's a good point, Free. I didn't realize it was so low to have relic JKR. So Jolee, especially now that she's not on, or he is not on that crazy node, they changed the node back with Jolee. Give him tenacity mods. It's a very cheap, easy mod, and will give a huge benefit. Anyway, Spirit. If you give Spirit like 60k health, GMY cannot one-shot her, and you'll find it really fucks up. Excuse me, YouTube. It screws up a lot the JKR counters against the Nightsisters, and usually she's better. I think she's better under AV. So it doesn't change at all her turn meter reduction. And anyway, I personally makes her last. I don't think in the meta now having her deal enormous damage is good in as many counters as having her health. If I was doing any of this for monetization, I just don't want to be. I want to be like kid friendly, I guess. If parents and their kids play a game together, it'd be nice to have something that kids can watch too. But I'm not making any money. That proves more problematic than another 20-30% damage. This is my opinion. I see nobody modding her for health besides me and like 1 or 2 other people. Zombie. Mod zombie for defense. He has a lot of defense already. Plow job? Oh, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. I can see how that works. I think that's more a problem for, like, Republic. Hey, Fort. Yeah. People mod zombie for health. Not a bad choice, but not a good choice. Defense is way better. Zombie is extremely durable. As soon as you make zombie relic, put on defense mods. 100%. You're going to enjoy that a lot better. Even a tenacity cross on zombie is good. Death Trooper. No crit chance. Why? Because when you use Death Trooper against Darth Revan or against Sith Eternal Emperor with a Malak in it, if he crits, Malak will taunt. So, and there's no reason for him to have crit chance anyway. He doesn't really benefit unless you're using him under Krennic. I have only seen that once. So, avoid crits when used against Malak to stop taunts. This is mostly like an end game-ish type of setup, but in general, he has no reason to have crit chance anyway. Like, he doesn't benefit from crit chance. So don't give him a crit chance 2-piece and try and avoid crit chance secondaries. Crit chance on Dengar. For some reason, people don't seem to value Dengar. We're going to see him a lot more in the expanded format, but having him with 100% crit chance is amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so if you look at his Mini-Mind Mayhem, the AoE thing, physical damage 2 times, blah, 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 do more things. You gain so many more benefits with critical chance. If he has 3 critical hits, 50% turn meter reduction. It's enormous. He doesn't need speed as he needs critical hit chance. So definitely go for crit chance on Dengar. I have him 3 crit chance sets because his crit chance is not that high. So if you get him close to 100%, it's awesome. Not only will be annoying for banner reduction, but he can, well, and under boss, health and protection regeneration, his turn meter reduction is amazing. For Mini-Mind Mayhem, you want the 50% reduction. So, awesome. Potency. Bo-Katan's potency is crazy. It's 70% with no mods at Relic. 68 point something. So add a potency cross, and when you use her in Beskar Mando or any other setup, on defense under Beskar Mando, she's good too. The potency can get well over 100%, and her AoE TM days and TM reduction is way better. It's the best single mod you can put on Bo-Katan. Close to 70%. Her TM reduction in days. Her amazing. All right. Okay. One more character. Right on time. Only 20 minutes late. That Smuggler Han. I forgot who used him first. I think it was Still Plays. Not first, but who I saw modding him. Maybe Still... No, it wasn't Still Plays. It was whatever. I think he streams on Twitch now and then. Anyway, giving potency and a potency cross to Vet Smuggler Han and the correct turn order so he can fit in your Beskar Mando team and under JTR. He is the only... wait, let me first look. I don't recall if Veers has a 100% chance. Okay, so Veers can do it too with Ruthless Assault, 50% chance to inflict ability block. But that's Smuggler Han. His AoE has 100% chance to inflict ability block. So if you stack his turn order, you can give... it's a chance, right? But you give yourself the maximum chance. Bummer for whatever. He was really... I enjoyed watching his videos. He was a good player. An entertaining guy, too. But I definitely understand. If something is not fun, don't do it. I mean, work is not fun for most people, but they have to do it. But besides that... anyway, his AoE ability block is unique in the game. Can't completely change the tide of a battle. So he's awesome in Beskar Mando too. Like if you don't have Bo-Katan or Nest or Kara or something to fit in there, put in that Smuggler Han, and you can stop Newt from doing extortion. Because who mods their Newt for tenacity? Hardly anybody. You can stop Newt from doing extortion. You can put ability block on General Grievous so he doesn't do his like come and eat your face move, or his AoE move. He just has to do a basic. Like he's an awesome character. Like if you don't have Nest, I would say having Bo-Katan and then Vet Smuggler Han in that turn order, just like I do conveniently, and a potency cross is an awesome setup, and you'll get a lot of benefit in multiple teams, like even under JTR or Finn or Poe. I think you'll see a Poe lead. You'll be surprised. You'll see Poe leads in the expanded format, but a resistance lead essentially, so the two vets can take bonus turns. But if he goes before Vet Smuggler Chewie and puts ability block on everybody, I mean, the bonus turns they may get depending on who, like if you're using Padme or something to counter them. Since Padme team cannot have their turn meter reduced, it's good to use against the JTR teams because you're not going to be stopped by the train. Yeah, you'll see Poe. Anyway, Vet Smuggler Han put potency and make sure he fits in turn order before Vet Smuggler Chewbacca and after Bo-Katan or Nast or whoever you're using as your days in the Beskar Mando teams. Okie dokie. A mere 16 minutes over my planned time, and food is arriving. Any questions, guys, before I drop off? Thank you all for hanging out and for the good questions or good topics to bring up. I can't wait for the format changes. That'll be fun. All right, guys. Thank you again very much. And I hope everybody watching after the fact enjoyed it and found some stuff helpful as well. Enjoy your planning. And yeah, I'll definitely do 45 minutes. I'll aim for an hour, and maybe I'll end up shorter. We'll see. But I could definitely talk for an hour about the teams. I had 4 teams I wanted to talk about. And there's so many other ones as well. All right, guys and gals. Talk to you later. Good luck planning. Have a great day. Cheers.